Hello and welcome back to Chapter 8, Section 3. This worksheet, as you can see right here, looks like all this cool stuff, is on my website in the class notes section. It is titled Factoring 1, and you should get it right now. Pause the video and get it. Well, hopefully you got it by now. If you haven't, well then pause the video again and do what I told you to do. Now, uh, just want to remind you that when we're factoring something, we should probably go in this order is fine. First, factor out a GCF if we can. Second, do guess and check method, which I'm going to teach you. And third, factor by grouping, which you have already learned, but it does get a little more advanced than what we've learned. So the guess and check method can go very quickly. That's why I'm teaching it to you now. We're going to factor this. Number one, b squared plus 8b plus 7. This is going to look like something we can foil. So we're going to factor it so it looks like something we can foil. Put our b's right there. And we figure out what's going to multiply to be 7 and add to be 8. Well, 7 and 1. And you're thinking, he didn't do much guessing. Right, because that pattern that I just showed you, multiply to this last number and add to that second number, will always work. How can you check? By foiling. B squared plus 1b plus 7b plus 7. 1b plus 7b, yep, that's 8b, what we wanted. So that's how we know that this is the answer. Here we go for number 3. Our answer will look like something we can foil. And there's a whole bunch of options for multiplying to negative 90 and adding to positive 1. Well, what multiplies to negative 90 and adds to positive 1? Well, there's 90 and 1, obviously not that one. 45 and 2, obviously not that one. 30 and 3, not that one, of course. I think hopefully you're getting the pattern. Let's see, 18 and 5. Those aren't going to get you a 1 anyway. We also can do 9 and 10. Hey, wait a minute, you can make a 1 out of 9 and 10 somehow, can't you? You sure can. Now, because they have to multiply to be negative 90, then one of these numbers has to be negative, either negative 9 and positive 10 or positive 9 and negative 10. One of those two options. But which one will add up to a positive 1m? Well, this combination will. Minus 9, so negative 9 or minus 9, and plus 10. How can you check? You guessed it, by foiling. M squared plus 10m minus 9m minus 90. And as you can see, 10m minus 9m is 1m, so this is our answer. So here we go, another one. Our answer will look like something we can foil. So I put the n's in the parentheses there. And I think, okay, what can multiply to be 9? Well, there's 9 and 1, there's 3 and 3, and that's about it. But also has to add to negative 10. Well, it's going to multiply to positive 9 and add to negative 10. Well, 3 and 3 don't get you a 10 no matter what you do, but 9 and 1 can if they're both negative. Then they add to negative 10 and multiply to positive 9. So minus 9 minus 1, you can always check by foiling. Good job. N squared minus 1n minus n, 9n plus 9. Negative 1n minus 9, yep, that's the negative 10n we were looking for. So that is the answer. And we start to see a pattern. Hopefully you start to see a pattern. Get the m's going and the parentheses there. What's going to multiply to be negative 24 and add to be positive 2? Well, 6 and a 4 get us 24, and if they have to add to a positive 2, then the 4 should be negative. So m minus 4, m plus 6. And you check it by foiling. M squared plus 6m minus 4m minus 24. 6m minus 4m, yep, that's the 2m we were looking for. That's how we know that is the answer. We are factoring these quadratic trinomials. Here's another one. Put our k's and our parentheses down. What's going to multiply to be 40 and add to be negative 13? 40, like 10 and 4. Can't make a 13 out of those no matter what. 8 and 5. Hey, you can make a 13 out of those. If they're both negative, they get you negative 13, right? And also when you multiply them, they're positive 40. So minus 8, minus 5. Check by, if you didn't say foiling or think foiling, I don't know what you're paying attention to. K squared minus 5k minus 8k plus 40. And as you can see, negative 5k minus 8k, yep, that's the negative 13k we were looking for, so we know this is the right answer. Next here, n and n with our parentheses. What's going to multiply to 56? Multiply to negative 56 and add to negative 1n. Well, don't 7 and 8, can't they make a 1 somehow? Yes, they can. If 8 is negative, they make a negative 1 when you add them. And then when you multiply the two together, they get negative 56. So this will be our answer. And you can check it by foiling. Over here, b. That's how we get the b squared always. It multiplies to be 8 and adds to be negative 6. Oh boy, that might be a tough one. 8 and 1, that can't get you a 6. 4 and 2, hey, that can get you a 6, right? If they're both negative, because it's negative 6 we're looking for, so minus 4 and minus 2. And you could check by foiling. Here, we should factor out a GCF. As you can see, this 2 right in front of here, I have not taught you. That means you don't know how to deal with that yet, unless it happens to be a GCF. We could factor out a 2 from everything. Leaves us n squared plus 3n minus 54. Now we're going to keep this 2 out in front, and then factor this stuff to the inside, just like we would do if the 2 wasn't there at all. So what is going to multiply to 54 and add, multiply to negative 54 and add to negative 3? Well, if you're like me, you don't really know the number 54 too well, except maybe 9 times 6. Oh, hey, 9 and 6, you can get a 3 out of that. If the 6 is negative, then it adds to positive 3. Multiplying gets a negative 54, so we got it. Plus 9 and minus 6. So the answer is 2 times n plus 9 times n minus 6. Oh, and by the way, also a correct answer would be 2 times n minus 6 n plus 9. You see how I just flip-flop the order of these two factors? Not a big deal. Remember, multiplication is commutative. You can switch around the order and that's just fine. 17, same thing. We have to factor out a GCF. 2 times k squared plus 11k plus 30. So keep the 2 out in front. I'm going to factor out this quadratic trinomial. What's going to multiply to be 30 and add to be 11? That'd be a 5 and a 6. K plus 6, and that's our answer. You can check it by foiling and then multiplying by 2, then distributing that 2. 19 here. P, parentheses, and the P. What's going to multiply to 10 and add to 11? 10 times 1. You can check it by foiling if you want. Factor out GCF here, 2 times p squared plus p minus 2. What's going to multiply to negative 2 and add to be 1? Well, negative 2 times 1, that's going to add a negative 1. But 2 times negative 1, there we go. That'll multiply to negative 2 and add to 1. So 2 times p plus 2 times p minus 1. That is your answer there. 23. X multiplies to 50, adds to 15. That'd be a 5 and a 10. But it's not just going to be positive 5, it's going to be negative 5 and negative 10 multiplied to positive 50, but they add to negative 10. You can check by foiling. P and the parentheses. What's going to multiply to 18 and, multiply to 18 and add to 3, multiply to negative 18 actually. 3 and 6 gets you 18, and if the 3 is negative, then they add to positive 3, so minus 3 and plus 6 in there. That is our answer. Oh look, they have the answers here. Look, number 1 was b plus 7, b plus 1. Hey look, b plus 7, b plus 1. Remember, the order doesn't matter. It's like saying 3 times 4. That's no different than 4 times 3. Same thing. Multiplication is commutative. So, the video is over. You need to just do these problems here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, the evens that are left over. Feel free to copy the answers. Go ahead, like you're getting away with anything. You have to do 13 of these problems. For ones like 26 and 22, 20, 16, you're going to have to factor out a GCF. So don't forget to do that first. Otherwise, you will not be able to factor these things. I will still have to teach you how to solve these with equations. Just really quickly, let's say this thing equals 0. So that means when you factor it, it still equals 0. This factor is going to equal 0. And this factor is going to equal 0 also. Remember the zero product property? So b plus 7 equals 0, and b plus 1 equals 0. So b is going to equal negative 7, and also b is going to equal negative 1. So we got our two answers for b. So that is if we have an equation. I'll talk about it tomorrow. I should be back at school tomorrow. But just to give you a refresher on how to solve equations. So again, your homework is this worksheet, but the odds have been done for you, so you need to do the evens. And yes, the answers are at the bottom. I don't really care. Go right ahead, use them. If you want to just write down the answers, take the lazy way out, well, by all means, but you're not going to help yourself at all. You might want to also figure out why number 8 is not factorable. Number 6, you'll see why it's b plus 8 squared when you get your answer. And everything else looks about normal. Good. So maybe tomorrow we'll talk about those in class. That's about it. Bye-bye.